for her turn to jump. Perhaps Susan would have jumped so hard that she could have jumped higher and better than she ever had.
She's having another episode.
And the girls would have admired her for doing so well. Or Susan could have looked for her mother as soon as she came home and told her all about her trouble.
Not that
Talking
mother would
difficulties
care.
over with friends, parents, homeroom teachers, or the coach are good ways to get rid of anger. If Susan had tried any of these ways, she would have let her anger out and pleasant feelings would gradually have returned.
Instead,
Susan then
Susan
would have
put a
soon
hit out
forgotten
on
her
Carol.
troubles and gone on playing. Now, let's see what Paul might have done to get rid of his anger. When he passed by the gym, he might have entered. And then...
Oh my God!
Hi, Mr. Jackson.
Hi, Paul. Boy, it sure feels good to get the old muscles loosened up again. But I thought you were going to be flying your model plane this afternoon.
We were, but Pete ditched me.
Well, how'd that happen?
We were just about to fly our planes when Pete decided to play baseball.
Baseball? Here, Paul,
He's
you want to
wearing
hit the bag?
oven mitts.
Had Paul started talking to Mr. Jackson as soon as Pete left him, or even decided to punch the bag, his disappointment and anger would have dissolved, and he would have begun to feel better right then. Perhaps as Paul pounded the bag, he might have thought it was Pete. Every swing was a swing at Pete.
That's the
Do you
bread
think that would
basket.
have helped Paul get rid of his anger?
It just made Paul more dangerous.
Anyhow, with his feelings taken out on the punching bag, Paul may have found that he wasn't angry anymore.
Poor dope.
That evening, Pete telephoned Paul to apologize for changing plans without talking first with Paul. He knew
Stop
that he'd been
stalking
wrong.
me, kid.
When Paul told him how angry he'd been, Pete asked
you
if
go
he
to the
could come
prom
right
with
over
me?
and work with Paul on their airplanes. So they had a good time together after all. There are other ways, too, of getting rid of anger. For instance, see what Eddie is doing? He is getting rid of his anger by drawing a picture of his aunt, who a few hours before had scolded him.
Sadly, Eddie
His
bludgeoned
mother
his
isn't
aunt to
home yet,
death 20
so he
minutes
can't talk to
earlier.
her. But he can make a funny picture of his aunt, and that makes him feel better. He's having so much fun drawing the picture that he forgets all about his
Why, I
anger.
wouldn't even harm a fly.
Perhaps you, like Carol, can imagine dreaming up a story about animals or people that would help you get the anger out of your system.
Oscar the Avenging
All these
Titmouse.
are good ways to get rid of anger.
It's Charlton Heston.
They free us so that we can start having fun again.
Oh,
You see, the important thing is to let out our anger in some active way. By running, or jumping,
or
hitting the
stabbing.
punching bag. But we must be sure that we don't hurt or make others angry.
Not while
Because
there's
if
witnesses.
we remember what happens inside of us when we get angry, we'll be more careful about making others angry. And perhaps, too, when we get angry, we'll think of the best ways to work our anger out of our system.
They've stopped making
Do you
Ipana.
remember some of the good ways that helped Susan and Paul get rid of their anger?
There
What
were
would
the
you have
pacts
done
with Satan.
if you'd been Paul or Susan?
Don't be mad, get glad.